Hi guys, it is April from Getting Hooga With It. It is Nonfiction November. So many of you are participating, and I wanted to share with you some books that I would recommend if you are still hemming and hawing about what you'd like to read for nonfiction this November. Let's get into it. Now, I don't know if I have anything on my TBR that's nonfiction this November. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. But I've got quite a selection for you, and I had a lot of fun coming up with this whole video. So, if you need a guilty pleasure pick, I would recommend Bachelor Nation. I am a Bachelor fan. Yes, it's slightly embarrassing to say, but I take such joy in watching The Bachelor that I don't know if I feel overly guilty about it. Kind of still do. It's silly, I know. No one can fall in love in such a short period of time to the point that they'd really want to get married. Maybe you could. I've never been in the situation. But yeah, I watch all of them. The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, which is like the ultimate in cheese. So very obsessed. I read Bachelor Nation a couple of years ago, I think when it first came out, and I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. It really dives into like behind the scenes, what the producers are doing to set up contestants and just make it a kind of awful, confusing experience. They don't always pick people who are the most mentally, have the best mental health sometimes. Like some of the stuff that they do is like borderline wrong, borderline immoral at times. I thought it was really fascinating. So if you need a guilty pleasure pick and you also watch The Bachelor, go and read Bachelor Nation. For your historical pick, I really want to suggest to you Unbroken. If you haven't read Unbroken yet and you read World War II fiction, this is the perfect book for you to read for nonfiction. This is the story of Louis, is it Zamperini? I could be saying his last name wrong. He had the most remarkable life I've ever heard of. Pretty much ever. This man was in the Olympics just before World War II began. Then World War II started and he joined the army and his plane was shot down. He barely survived in the ocean, and then he was picked up by the Japanese and became a prisoner of war. And his story is remarkable. This author has such a way with words. She very rarely publishes a book. I think she's published 2 or 3 books, and she takes like 10 years to write each book because she takes such time to do the research, and then the writing itself, it always reads like fiction. Fascinating. You will love Unbroken if you are a fan of World War II fiction. For the feminist pick, is a tiny one, and it's We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I just recently read Dear Ejewole, which is about how to raise a feminist, and I just had my baby daughter Nora, and I read that I think within the first week of her life, and it meant so much to me, and this book meant so much to me too. Beyonce has bits of this in her most recent album, Lemonade, I think it was. And it was fantastic. Was it Lemonade or the one before? It doesn't matter. Beyonce loves her. I love her. I hope that you would read We Should All Be Feminists. It makes so much sense. It's so obvious. She makes it so crystal clear why everyone should be a feminist. And that it's not a bad word. So I would suggest that. The memoir pick, I would suggest to you I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. Oh my goodness, this book hit home for me. But it's very interesting. It is, I believe, 17 of her brushes with death. So each, not chapter, but yeah, each chapter follows a different part of her life where she nearly died. And I'm telling you, it's true. She like literally nearly died 17 times. And yet she's still walking this earth, which is amazing. So she goes through childhood illnesses. She goes through a situation she was in where she was nearly murdered, like truly nearly murdered. She goes through a miscarriage that she had, which was very difficult for me, but also made me feel really, really known. After my miscarriage, I read this. It's such a good book. Maggie O'Farrell writes fiction, and I think this is her only nonfiction. So gorgeous, gorgeous writing. For the true crime pick, it doesn't get scarier. It really doesn't get scarier than I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. This follows one woman's search for the Golden State Killer. Now, Michelle McNamara died before completing this book and also died before he was caught. This man would break into people's houses, women or couples, shine a flashlight in their eyes, and then tie them up and rape them. He was a serial rapist as well as a serial killer. Sometimes always rape them, and sometimes kill them, and sometimes not. And he was terrifying. This is definitely a book that I would have a hard time reading if I didn't live with someone, even though he did kill couples as well. I just remember reading this and being terrified that someone was going to break in and kill me. It reads in such a way that it will kind of give you nightmares. So I'm just preparing you because, I mean, he's caught, but does that really help? I don't know. I remember I read this, and then I think not even a month afterwards they caught him, which was so shocking. And great that they caught him. But yeah, I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I loved this book. Very hard to read though. And then finally is the self-help pick. If you are looking for a little self-help this November, I would really recommend The Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. This is by Brené Brown. And she is a shame researcher. She literally researches shame and vulnerability, and she interviewed so many people over the course of her work, and she looked at the characteristics of people who are very much wholehearted, don't live their lives based on shame, know the power behind vulnerability, and she looks at all of the things that they do and practice in their lives, and wrote a whole book about it. So things like cultivating gratitude and joy, cultivating a resilient spirit, cultivating authenticity. And I loved this, and this is highlighted to death. And I should really reread it. I've been meaning to reread it for so long. So I would recommend that for you. Those are all of the books that I wanted to recommend to you for Nonfiction November. I hope that you guys enjoy. I feel a little sad that there's nothing on my November picks that are nonfiction, but I hope that you enjoy. Let me know in the comments below what you are planning on reading for Nonfiction November. If any of these books are on the list, I would love to know, and I will talk with you soon. Bye, guys.